Hello, welcome to Astrology Climate Witness today. I am going to be focusing on doing just a short video, and since the moon's in Pisces, I'm going to do my poem for the moon in Pisces that I'm trying to do every month. I found this poem online today, and it seemed really appropriate. The poem itself can be interpreted by most people initially as something that's personal, a personal experience in their life. But my introduction is going to modify that a little, and you'll see as I read it. This poem can be understood in relation to someone coming to the realization of the condition of our world today. The realization of the ecological breakdown / collapse, the socio-political collapse, and all that encompasses. This kind of realization did not happen in a day, but it is a process which comes through experiences, learning, and engagement. Once one comes to terms with the loss that they are feeling, then it is time to build back something else within that space that was left empty. That something else is a resilience. This is an adaptation to a new kind of world. Some of what can fill that space is compassion and empathy for oneself and other. We cannot truly function for the next generation if we remain with empty spaces within ourselves. We must search for that which fills it back up. It may not be easy. We may need to drag ourselves to a new space, but eventually it will be worth it. Okay, here's the poem. It didn't kill me, but something changed. A piece of me lost, forever estranged. I walked away, yet not the same. A shadowed soul, a quiet flame. That day took part of who I was, left me searching without cause. I carry on, but feel the void. A heart once whole, now destroyed. It didn't end me, but I am not whole. An echo remains deep in my soul. I'm here, I breathe, but truth denied. A part of me that day quietly died. It says author unknown. So my interpretation of applying that to coming to understand where we are with our ecological breakdown and how it's important to realize your pain about this. And many people here today listening to this won't understand maybe what we're talking about when we talk about this pain because they don't fully grasp the situation yet. They may be just beginning the journey, the search for information on this, or listening to mainstream accounts that give out solutions that we can fix this. If you listen to many of my other videos, you'll see that the fixing is by the wayside. Now when I say that, what I mean is there's no fixing it to the point that you're going to stop planetary overshoot. And again, climate change is a subset of that. You're not going to stop industrial civilization raising across this planet, digging up, cutting down, poisoning the planet every day, 365 days a year, and every year it gets to be more and more because there's always more people, there's always more growth. That's the issue. Growth in consumerism, growth in humans, growth in not just our needs, food, water, shelter, but in, I say consumerism because that part we could do without, but there's not enough left of everything for us to try to live off the land with 8 billion people. It's impossible. So again, my point, many times when you talk about climate change or you bring this up, how we are killing the biosphere. People think that you're saying it because you want to give a solution. The only thing we can do is in your own home, and I'm not talking about, recycling and all. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about become resilient. You get yourself to the point where you use as little electricity as possible. Now, some people aren't going to be able to give up electricity at all. They're going to want to put their solar panels, the windmills, geothermal, and get their batteries for storage. I'm not against you doing that. Be my guest. But in the long run, it's probably better to try as much as possible to do with less electricity, less power. It's not easy. And maybe some people mostly can only do it minimally. And if you live in a city or a large town, you're probably not going to be able to do it at all, really. So it's more about up here, preparing yourself mentally and emotionally to expect less and to allow yourself to accept things that are going to be happening in the years to come, this year, next year. And that can be really hard. I'm not necessarily talking about accepting if your home gets blown away or whatever. That's really hard. I'm just talking about going without. Okay. With the political meltdown that's going on, we just don't know. I mean, we didn't know the timing necessarily of everything ecological as far as breakdown. We knew it was coming. We know it's coming. To pinpoint a specific year, it doesn't happen that way. It's a slow process to us. Geologically speaking, it's happening quicker than a blink of an eye in geologic time. Okay, so working on your mental stability, emotional stability, and creating social collateral in your neighborhood. And then as you're doing that, what you're doing is, if a community wanted to do, a solar field for themselves, who's to say they can't do it? Of course, if you want that to be part of your resilience. But don't think that it's going to stop climate change or make many other changes. It's just going to be there so that if the grid does go down, you may have that. You may have to make that, I don't know if you can even do that legally, but, a solar farm for your community. I mean, if you can do it legally just for your town and not be connected to the grid, I don't know. But anyway, now, I do want to read a little piece that I've found about Dane Rudhyar from my book, Astrological Insights, and that is him. Okay, now, Dane Rudhyar, a seed man. Dane Rudhyar was born in Paris, France on March 23, 1895. Quite early in his life, Rudhyar intuitively came to realize two things which have deeply influenced his entire life and work. Number one, time is cyclic, and the law of cycles describes sorry. The law of cycles describes all civilizations as well as existence. 2. Western civilization is now in what could be symbolically called the autumn phase of its period of existence. Now that was when he was alive. So what does that tell you? As these realizations develop into a personal commitment to the future which he envisioned, Rudhyar felt the urge to divorce himself from Europe to seek a new world, a land into which he could, as it were, sow himself as a seed, carrying within his being the legacy of whatever was viable and constructive in the European past. In the late fall of 1916, he came to America, leaving behind his native land and ancestral French culture as well as his family name, Chenevier. 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 Um, the change of name was symbolic of a total dedication to his ideal, the transformation of our civilization, a revelation of all values. He became known as a Rudhyar, a name derived from the Sanskrit root Rudya, Rudya, implying dynamic action and the electrical power released during storms. The god Rudya in the Vedas is the destroyer and regenerator, the transforming energy breaker of old molds, and the power of will or vital force. This sense of destiny released through Rudyard's tremendous energy, which he has channeled into the development of his philosophical ideas through music and the use of tone, through painting as the art of gestures, through astrology as a symbolic language with potential to bring individuals in tune with cosmic cycles. Throughout his long life and his use of many different forms of expression, his purpose has become ever more clearly focused and dynamic. He calls forth the need for individuals with holistic vision and a transpersonal approach to life to serve as the foundation of a global society. Now, he was probably a lot more hopeful about a renewal of society, of civilization. But he did understand that societies, civilizations come and go. So that is significant. Free will, there's a lot of talk about whether we have free will or not. So let's say we had free will, just for this little discussion. Could we have changed our trajectory if we'd realized, and the scientists way back in the 1850s, right up through the early 1900s, had made explicitly clear to politicians, capitalists, etc., that burning excessive amounts of fossil fuels was going to cause terrible changes in our climate down the road. Could we have managed our energy use a different way? Maybe still used fossil fuels, but in extremely limited ways that only served our absolute needs and not wants. Well, there was no way really originally for these scientists to realize that, especially oil, would expand our economies so fast and so massively that the climate change that they thought would happen in like 1,000 years or so would happen within 200 to 250 years. They couldn't grasp that, of course. But by the 70s and early 80s, the fossil fuel companies did know this. Their own scientists told them this. But they lied to the public with propaganda, using all kinds of tactics to explain away all of it. Everything that came out about climate change, they would talk it away with propaganda. Now, there are people who say that no, there's no free will for a species. And this is what I get at when I'm talking about viewing Aquarius as our chance. Although, like I said, it's not really going to change our trajectory, but it could change the way we handle ourselves and treat each other. If we view Aquarius as a species, humans as a species, instead of, how can I say this, above the rest of the living organisms on this planet, it would help us to adapt to what's coming, to realize that we are part of any ecosystem, and that if we abuse the ecosystem, and I'm not talking about tweaking some massive industry here, there, and on the edges. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about not having industry at all. I mean, it's just mind-boggling that people still think that, if you recycle, it's going to save anything. Sure, there won't be garbage, there won't be plastic everywhere, but, you know, we shouldn't be making plastic in the first place. That's what's causing a lot of the CO2, and it's a mind frame, people. Are we going to win that? No. I mean, the outer world, the way our governments and the way our economists handle this, we're not going to change that. Not in any significant way. So all of this is about a realization. And once you come to that realization, that industrial society is a superorganism, and that's not my term. Nate Higgins came up with that. Or maybe, I'm pretty sure it was just him. Once you come to that conclusion and you realize that we're on a trajectory to a black hole, that poem comes in handy. I'm going to read that poem again, and you keep in mind, again, the transpersonal, as Rudyard spoke about transpersonal views and philosophies. Instead of everything being personal, view yourself as part of this species and part of this planet. And it might help for you to integrate this new understanding within yourself without as much pain. Okay? Okay, here's the poem. It didn't kill me, but something changed. A piece of me lost, forever estranged. I walked away, yet not the same. A shadowed soul, a quiet flame. That day took part of who I was, left me searching without cause. I carry on, but feel the void. A heart once whole, now destroyed. It didn't end me, but I'm not whole. An echo remains deep in my soul. I'm here, I breathe, but the truth denied. A part of me that day quietly died. So that happened to me. It was a process. I didn't wake up one day and realize it. A lot of studying and research came before that. And finally, it was around 2012-ish. A little before in 2011, but it still wasn't all the way there yet. I realized that we're not able to fix this. So it's been a process since then to learn how to handle it. There's that Facebook page that I might have mentioned before called Deep Adaptation. And there's other groups that you can join, some wholly scientific, some for emotional support. There's even dark humor, black humor, doomer humor, if you need that once in a while, because you can't laugh. What else is there? So I'm going to let you go now because I said this was going to be short. So take care, and I hope this was helpful. I'll try to come back with some more science soon and some more astrology. Thank you.